This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. Oil futures fell by nearly $1 on Thursday, extending losses from the previous day, as a surprise jump in U.S. crude stocks weighed on the market along with fears of a recession that were heightened by disappointing U.S. retail sales and output data. Brent crude futures were last down 84 cents, or 1%, to $84.14 a barrel at 0710 GMT, after earlier easing to $83.76. U.S. West Texas Intermediate, WTI, crude futures also declined 91 cents, or 1.1%, to $78.57 a barrel. It earlier fell to a low of $78.13. The deterioration in U.S. economic data darkened the oil demand outlook as recession fears mount again. Risk-off sentiment has sent growth-sensitive commodities down, said Tina Teng, an analyst at CMC Markets, adding that profit-taking could have played a part also.
U.S. stockpiles of crude oil were estimated to have declined last week while gasoline and distillates inventories were seen gaining, an extended Reuters poll showed on Wednesday. Crude inventories rose by 19 million barrels in the week ended January 6 to 439.6 million barrels. Analysts polled by Reuters had expected a 2.2 million barrel drop. Distillate inventories, which include diesel and heating oil, were expected to have increased by about 120,000 barrels last week. Analysts estimated that stockpiles of gasoline rose by around 2.5 million barrels last week.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
A nationwide strike against pension reform in France led to a substantial fall in electricity output and halted deliveries from refineries operated by Total Energies and Esso on Thursday. EDF and grid operator RTE data showed electricity production was down by 7.8 gigawatts, GW, roughly 12% of total power supply, which they said was due to the strike, prompting France to raise its imports from Britain, Belgium, Germany, Switzerland and Spain. EDF's outage table showed a 4.5 gigawatts nuclear supply reduction at 8 reactors, 460 megawatts, MW, of reduced hydropower and 2.8 gigawatts of lower thermal production.
U.S. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm warned Republicans in a letter seen by Reuters on Wednesday that limiting President Joe Biden's authority to tap the nation's oil reserves would undermine national security, cause crude oil shortages and raise gasoline prices. Biden repeatedly tapped the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, SPR, last year to manage rising gasoline prices and disruptions to supply caused by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The sales shrank the SPR to about 380 million barrels, the lowest level since 1984, raising concerns about energy security. A bill called the Strategic Production Response Act, introduced earlier this month by Republican Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers, would limit presidential authority in releasing oil from the strategic reserve, except in the case of a severe energy supply interruption.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
China's gold production climbed in 2022, following production ramp-ups in some key regions, while consumption in the world's largest gold consumer registered a decline. The country's gold output rose 13.09% year-on-year to 372.048 tons last year, the China Gold Association said on Thursday. The eastern Shandong province has recovered from production disruptions caused by shutdown of mines due to accidents and safety inspections in the previous year. Major mines in Shandong resumed production and ramped up capacity to a pre-pandemic level, while the northern Shanxi province added a new capacity. Both the factors also contributed to the growth.
Copper prices fell on Thursday, as the safe haven dollar firmed on U.S. downturn concerns and physical metal demand slowed ahead of a long holiday in top buyer China. 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange fell 0.9% to $9,242 a ton by 0707 GMT. Aluminium declined 0.9% to $2,615 a ton. Zinc shed 1.3% to $3,360 a ton, and tin dropped 3.1% to $28,200 a ton. Chinese markets will be closed next week to celebrate the Lunar New Year, leading to tepid purchases of metals. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural. India is not looking at allowing more sugar exports, government and industry officials said on Thursday, dampening speculation that the world's biggest producer of the sweetener would permit a second tranche of overseas shipments. India, the world's biggest sugar exporter after Brazil, exported a record 11 million tons in the previous season to September 30, 2022. But the government has allowed sugar mills to export only 6.1 million tons of the sweetener in the current season that began on October 1, 2022. Food price inflation was high at the start of the season, prompting curbs on exports.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.